Hey, today we're going to talk about fear, not being afraid to do certain things. Because you know what? Fear is false evidence appearing real. My name is Marion. I'm from Attire and Beyond, and I am a reseller on Poshmark. I dabble a little bit in Mercari and Depop, and I started sending into the Real Real. But what I want to talk about is how over the years I've changed my thought process in reselling and I'm less afraid to try new things. So let's get started. So I do have some notes here today, so don't mind if I look aside here and there. So don't be afraid after you're selling for a little while to start selling something different. Example, I was selling all clothes and then I decided that well, maybe I can make a little bit more money selling something else or learn something else just to see how it works out. And I slowly went into home goods when Poshmark allowed different things to come on, then some media things. And then I decided, well, maybe I'll try vintage. I know people make a lot of money selling vintage. And boom, that was it for me. Now, I still have 1,500 items in my closet right now and many other items throughout the house that are clothing items. However, I'm bringing some new things in, and that's now what I've learned to make more money on. So don't be afraid to try something new, but make sure that you look at your comps when you're in the store purchasing it or when you're looking at something in your house and saying, oh, maybe this is vintage. And just so that you know, vintage now can be so many different years, but they say 20 years you can consider something vintage, and put the date in your listing so that they know what year it was from, because some people may consider older things vintage, but it is 20 years. So don't be afraid. Couple of examples. I watched some vintage YouTube videos and was watching what people sell and how you look at things and how you can tell if it is vintage, who it's from, if it has a signature on it. And I learned all of those things. So first, learn a little bit about it. I am a self-taught person and I love learning. So learn a little bit about it. Okay, so on a lot of videos, I heard make sure you list your things for the next season or for the holiday 2 months at least in advance. And that's great. I do that, but I generally list things all year round. But what I do is I relist them a couple of months before, like let's say Christmas, Hanukkah. That's coming up soon. I started listing things a couple of months ago, but because I heard, you have to put it up then, I wasn't last year and the year before putting things up until the holidays. Well, this year I started digging out stuff a couple of weeks ago, which is a couple of weeks before the holidays, and I wasn't afraid to put them up and said maybe they'll sell, maybe they won't. Let me tell you, they're selling like you wouldn't believe. So don't be afraid to list up until the last minute. If it's local, if you're on Mercari Local or Facebook Marketplace, literally up till the last minute. But if you're on someplace like Poshmark or Mercari and you want to be able to sell this year, excuse me, it got too hot, I had a heater on, then even as far as I think you can on Poshmark, it's saying that you can sell until the 19th and it will get delivered. So put things up until the 18th or 19th, right? What have you got to lose? Nothing. Okay. Don't be afraid to listen to others' advice. If it's worked for them, it may work for you. And like you're watching this video, try it. It can't hurt, right? If you're watching someone else's video, try it. It can't hurt unless it's something that you're totally against, of course. Just don't be afraid. If people succeeded by doing something, you may succeed by doing that same thing. Don't be afraid to stop trying something that's not working for you. Listen, if you're selling clothes and that's not working for you, just what I'm going to do is just edge all my clothes out. I'm going to sell them all out and only get things that I know now will sell. Where, as compared to the beginning, I got things that were cheap, period. Don't do that either. Be afraid to buy things that are $1 that you don't check comps on. Be afraid. If you check the comps and you're going to make some money, then that's great. Don't be afraid to list items with flaws. Let me tell you why. I'm saying this because just days ago, I had this great Giants jacket and it was reversible. And I had it listed and it had some white spots on one side of the black side of the reversible. And I put it in the listing and I told the person and they purchased it. So don't be afraid. I hear a lot of people who do this and they're not. Now, there are certain things that you'll look at and say, I don't want to sell this. And I do like selling things without flaws. But this was something that if it wasn't flawed, I could have gotten $150 for. Since it was, I got $79 to be exact, which is great because I didn't spend a lot of money on it. So don't be afraid. Know that you don't have to grab everything in the store. Be afraid if you want to do that. Don't do that. Don't be afraid to pay up for something if you've researched it. Now make sure you research it. If you don't, then be afraid to pay up. I bought things in the past, and I'm only speaking from my experience. I bought things in the past where I'd look at it. I wish I could. I'm just going to grab anything. I'd look at it and say, oh, this looks like it's an antique, or this looks like it's vintage, and I knew nothing about it. Let me get this, and instead of paying 50 cents for it, pay $4 for it and find out that it's only worth $4. Don't do that. Be afraid. Basically, just give yourself the freedom to do different things, to try different things, to take fear out of the picture if you've researched it. Not if you haven't. Don't go and buy this if it's $15 and you haven't researched it, or even $4, and you don't know how much it's worth, because you can lose money. Think about it. So, I'll get little unique things now, and I look them up, and I see if it's worth what I am paying for it. So, don't be afraid to do all these things, but you must research first. Don't just go doing them willy-nilly. If you're going to do that, be afraid. Just give yourself freedom to try new things. Once you learn about things, give it a shot. Be confident that if someone else can sell it, it's possible that you can too. So I am Marion with Attire and Beyond. If you like this or content like this, please give me a thumbs up, and maybe you'll subscribe and hit the bell so you can see other content like this. I talk about all types of reselling things, tips and tricks, everything. Take a look at my past videos. You may like them. This is December Daily, number 18. And I will see you tomorrow.